And I'm the Sustainable Programs Coordinator for the City of Evanston. And tonight we're here to have our first public hearing on our plan of operation and governance for our municipal electricity aggregation program. So the format is going to be pretty straightforward. The first portion will have this presentation, then followed by public comment or question. And then at the end, we'll ask that anyone that wants to make a public comment will be speaking from the other podium. And we'll go ahead and have people who want to talk line up so we can be in an orderly manner and try to limit it to 2 minutes since there's a good amount of people here. So we'll try to hold any comments or questions till the end. So first, we'll start off with a brief summary on electricity aggregation for those of you who may have not attended some of the other meetings. In 1997, the state of Illinois enacted their Consumer Choice Act, which basically deregulated the energy generation from the energy delivery. So as a result, ComEd still will deliver energy, but the actual companies that could supply energy are separate. And right now in Illinois, there are about 23 alternate retail electricity suppliers that are approved by the ICC. So under this deregulated market, consumers have the opportunity to choose their own supplier. However, if they don't choose a supplier, ComEd automatically secures electricity on their behalf. Then the second important thing that happened leading up to aggregation is the Illinois Power Agency Act, which is what authorizes municipalities the option to aggregate or bundle together residential and small commercial retail electricity accounts. And the goal of the aggregation program is to provide both cost savings to those members of the pool of customers, as well as to specify the energy mix that they're interested in receiving. This slide shows an overview of the general process that's required in order to implement a community choice electricity aggregation program. The first step in the process is to have a binding referendum passed by the local municipality that would authorize the municipality to move forward with the program. So our election was on March 20th, and 73% of the voters of Evanston said yes for the local government to implement a community choice aggregation program. So that's the first milestone that's needed in order to implement the program. Then the second step is the competitive proposal process, which is used to evaluate and select an alternate retail electricity supplier to to generate supply for the new customers. So right now we're in that competitive selection process, and I'll talk about that in a minute. Following the competitive selection process, if the bids were optimal and provided cost savings, then the city could select one and enter into an agreement with the supplier. And as shown here, there's an arrow indicating that there will be an option for all customers to opt out of the program if they so wish once a supplier is chosen and a rate is announced. And then after all the customers get switched, the new electricity supply will start being delivered from the new supplier. This slide goes into a little more detail about the competitive selection process. We divided it up into 3 phases. The first phase being pre-qualifying the suppliers. As I said, there's 23 alternate retail electricity suppliers working in Illinois that are approved by the Illinois Commerce Commission. So phase 1 for the city was to solicit qualifications information from these suppliers as well as indicative pricing. Then phase 2 is to develop the plan of operation and governance and the policy by which City Council will use to select the supplier in the end. And as required, there are supposed to be 2 public hearings to provide and receive feedback on this plan. And so here we are today as the first of the required public hearings. And then phase 3, once the plan of operation and governance is approved and City Council formally adopts a resolution to implement the program, then the city would go out and select firm price bids from all the pre-qualified suppliers. So the public hearing is required under the Illinois Power Agency Act, and it's required that the municipality hold at least 2 public hearings on the plan of operation and governance. The hearings in accordance with the law were published in the paper for the 2 consecutive weeks before the meetings. We've actually, here in Evanston, scheduled 3 public hearings because this week is spring vacation for the local school. So there'll also be a meeting tomorrow night and then a meeting next Monday evening as well. The plan of operation and governance is required under the law for the electricity aggregation program. The City of Evanston, in partnership with the Utilities Commission, drafted a plan, and it was posted on the website on March 21st. There's also copies outside for people who want to read it now. In general, the plan allows for equal access for all customers who are eligible under the law and also provides an opportunity for all customers to opt out at the beginning before the program starts. This slide shows a general table of contents of the plan. There's 16 sections, and this is the general outline that we determined would incorporate all of the requirements of the law. Now, the next few slides, I'm going to talk briefly about some of the key components, both sort of in general and then some of the sections. I'm not going to go through each of the 16 sections, but at the end, we'll be happy to take public comment on any of the topics. But we've just identified some of the key ones that we think there should be consideration from the community on. So in terms of the overall, what does the Plan of Operation and Governance say? Firstly, it states what the overall goal of our aggregation program, which is to reduce the cost of electricity supply for the members which are included in the program, and also to gain other favorable terms, such as limiting the amount of fees for switching or opting out, making changes, et cetera. Under the plan, the city also retains full rights to accept with modification, or to reject any or all of the bids that are received as part of the process. So the city's under no obligation to accept any of the bids if none of them come back to be favorable. The plan also clearly outlines that ComEd will continue to be the deliverer of the electricity and be responsible for billing and customer service associated with that delivery. Once the supplier is chosen and the energy supply rate in terms of dollars per kilowatt hour, any charges and contract terms will be disclosed to all eligible members of the eligible accounts. And then all of those accounts will have the opportunity to opt out if they do not wish to be included. And that will happen after the price is locked in and any other terms and conditions are established. So people will have a full opportunity to evolve and review the package before they choose to select or not. Any customers that do not opt out during that period will automatically be included. And that's why we call it an opt-out program and was required to be passed via a referendum. There's also, in addition to the opt-out process at the beginning, there's also a recession period. So after people who opt out indicate so, everyone that's remaining will be transferred over. But before the actual transfer happens, a letter will go out from ComEd notifying customers that they're being switched to the new supplier. And once that letter goes out, all those customers also have a second opportunity to rescind their participation in the program and have a final, second opt-out. And that'll all be clearly communicated in information that will go to all customers. Going into a little bit more detail, some of the other sections of the plan talk about the energy supply mix and the term of the contract. Staff conducted the qualifications phase and did receive indicative pricing for a variety of energy mix options, including the state-mandated mix, as well as a 25, 50, and 75, and 100% renewable energy option. Staff estimates that the 75% renewable energy option would achieve the city's greenhouse gas emissions reduction goal under our climate action plan. So therefore, the staff recommends that when we go back out for actionable pricing, the lowest percent renewable energy option that we ask for is the 75%. Then the indicative pricing also showed that the incremental cost to go to 100% from 75% was less than 1% difference in costs. So staff is also recommending that we get that 100% cost as well. The draft plan also includes a recommendation to get both a 12-month and a 24-month price bids. And that will give City Council options to look at both of those choices. Staff will make a final recommendation to City Council on April 10th for an approach to selecting the term as well as the renewable energy, the energy mix. Another component of the plan talks about any rates and fees associated with making changes once the program's underway. Members that are moving within the city and keeping the same account number will be able to keep that same supply rate that we've locked in without any changes. If you move into the city and are a new customer looking to get into the program, those customers will be allowed to get into the program, but the actual supply rate they get when they come in will be based on the current market conditions and may be different than the supply rate that people that were included at the time have gotten. The plan also states that there will be no fee for people to terminate their agreement early if they are relocating outside of the city. There will also be no fee if you'd like to switch back to ComEd. The city will negotiate with the supplier on any early termination fee if people decide they want to switch to a different alternate retail electric supplier, or in other words, switch to a competitor of the company that we've selected. Any and all fees and anything, as we talked about in the slide, will all be included in a sample terms and conditions that will be sent out to all eligible customers during that initial notification process, and everyone will be able to review all of those before they decide if they'd like to opt out. So all that will be completely finalized and included in that package. The city will sign a master agreement that is what facilitates individual customers having an agreement with the individual supplier. And it locks in basically that supply rate that we've negotiated and that we've gotten. And then it also authorizes that alternate supplier to start the switching process to send out the notification letters. But the individual agreement for supply of electricity is between the individual customer and the supplier that we select. The agreement between the city and the supplier will terminate at the end of whatever our term is, which could be 24 or 12 months, depending on what's selected, or if either one of those parties terminates early because of default of the other party. Now, once that overall master agreement is terminated, the city has a couple options. We can select another supplier through a competitive selection process, or the city could decide to end the aggregation program and have all the customers go back to ComEd or select their own supplier. But right now, the agreement with the supplier, if we select one, would only be for whatever that term is. Then at the end of the term, we can either start the process again or go back to ComEd. So there isn't a commitment. There's no commitment beyond whatever the term is that we lock in at.